Hi, and welcome to our video, which today is going to be about our blog post again from this week's mail out, and that is all about the emerging collective consciousness of the human race. Right?
That's right.
So, I don't know, back in 2010, 11?
Well, around that time.
Around 2010, a good while ago, over a decade ago. The Zetas talked about various ways in which they support humanity. And one of these ways was about the emerging collective consciousness of the human race and what they're doing to support that. Can we just start with describing what we mean by an emerging collective consciousness for humanity? What are we even talking about?
As humans and humanity becomes more aware of their consciousness, dropping materialism, basically, they're creating a larger or amplified state in the astral. This means that the humans themselves are creating their own, basically their own hive mind, their own collective consciousness. It's an undulating form. It's seen to be in chaotic state, and it's always increasing as each thought that each person has enters into that collective consciousness process. It's basically the mind of the human race.
And you've mentioned the astral.
Yeah.
So this is forming in the astral, or what people call the astral realm.
That's
so
right.
Can we just quickly define, or try and quickly, maybe quickly isn't the right word. Can we define what we know about that?
About the astral?
Yeah, so it's like a fourth dimensional, energetic space.
That's right. So when people are asleep at night, they move into the astral. Some people, while they're awake, do astral traveling and leave their physical body. Some people go into what's called the real-time astral. So if you go in, leave your body, go into the room that you're in, that's called the real-time astral space. You can also go into the fabric of the astral at different points in time. So you can go into the room that you're in the past.
Hence fourth dimensional. We can move backwards in time.
And so there could have been other people living at that house before you. You can enter into that fabric and basically interact with them. Now, they may see you as a shadow person. Very interesting, that. But I've had the experience where I moved out of body into the astral. There were some people unpacking their groceries onto the counter of the place where I was living, and I could hear them speaking.
Yeah. And so just to clarify for people watching, our understanding of the astral, that it is not a spirit realm. Now, we're not saying that there isn't some sort of overlap somewhere at the higher end frequency, but the astral realm is not where our passed over loved ones, friends and family, etc. reside. They're in spirit realm. Spirit realm is a different frequency to the astral.
It's the same analogy as the radio. Astral realms on this frequency, spirit realms this frequency, interdimensional races this frequency. It just works that well. And of course, everything works across a band, a frequency band. So there's always some level of conjoining across these areas.
So now we've got those hopefully better defined. What are the Zetas doing to support our emerging collective consciousness, which, as you've already said, was described back in 2010 as in a general state of chaos?
Yeah. Back then, they had taken me into what were called the spheres. And the spheres, they stated, were probably about the same distance as the moon from this planet. And there were hundreds of these spheres. And so when I entered into one of them, there were about 8 or 10 beings in one of the spheres that I was in. It was like a bubble or a clear sort of sphere. And you could see the planet Earth from that external position.
And they talked about those spheres as being some form of their, or one use of their SQE technology, right?
Yeah, they said that it was some sort of biological entity that was being created by a craft. So for some reason, a craft would create a sphere, and then under the pressure of the vacuum of space, the spheres would replicate. And once they were in a large chain around the planet, they would then be populated by the beings that had come on the craft. The craft, they were saying, always stayed there, and so did the spheres. And it was used as a contemplation or a concentration process. So say there were 8 or 10 beings in each of the spheres, they would then be replicated across hundreds of spheres and be focusing on the undulating collective consciousness of the human race.
That's quite incredible, really, isn't it? Like, so how are they not seen? How will the, so we're saying that there's one craft per sphere.
No. One craft creates a sphere.
One craft,
and then the sphere
self-replicates. So that means there's always a craft.
Yes, there's always a craft.
Always one craft, but presumably that goes undetected by.
Who says that it's undetected?
Good point. Maybe it's just being ignored.
Ignored
by whoever.
Another balloon. Remember that. It's just a balloon.
Just a balloon. So back in the original conversations about this process back in 2010, the Zetas, they talked about nodes.
That's right.
Can you tell us about what that's about?
They suggest that a node is a hybrid, a Zeta hybrid, and that they have millions of them in place across the planet, and that the hybrids are used to support the construction of the hive mind of the human race. And so the beings in the sphere were concentrating on the hybrids, and the hybrids were then, because they were part of the human race, part of a three-dimensional structure, their own space and consciousness and place in consciousness then meant that they were allowed to embed information under free will into the astral.
How interesting. I don't think I've ever heard you talk about this before.
It's in the primer.
It's in the primer. God, I'll need to read that book again. I've only read it 5 or 6 times. So, and we'll remind people who are watching that process of the hybrids of consciousness is one that is a process done under a free will agreement with the spirit people and the Zetas. Without an agreement with the spirit person, that process just can't happen.
That's right.
Which is interesting to think.
And all humans have spirit. All humans have a spirit. The spiritual form, the soul, enlivens physical form. There's an agreement between your spiritual component and your extraterrestrial nature. If you're a hybrid, there are a vast amount of hybrids on this planet, ranging from the Zetas across the Arcturians, the Sirius, right across through to all of the different races as well. And a lot of those people are being visited as well. There's a lot of dream state contact. Which is
the more common way.
Which is the most common way. And even their own races are embedding screen memory technology into it as well.
Okay. So what do we know about this emerging collective consciousness now, some 10, 12, 15 years later?
Well, 2 years ago, in tandem, racing with it on the timeline to get humanity to a point where their abilities were exponentially increased so that they did not need to have technology associated with the physical human being.
Do you think that do you reckon that humans will be able to access the collective consciousness
of the human race?
Yeah.
They already can.
Through the astral?
Yeah.
What about the people with the technology after the split?
They probably will be able to on some level, but their own personal abilities will be diminished because the state of amplification by the technology will mean that they'll have embedded abilities.
Rather than natural
abilities.
So in saying that, are we saying that we'd expect, because of course we don't know, but we'd expect that the collective consciousness of the human race would support the natural abilities of the humans that don't go down the
Absolutely.
technology route.
Absolutely. This is why back in 2010, this process was started. This is why in 2021, the gateway was enabled to allow hybrids to return back to their own races. This is why the Zetas have come and supported the human race. This is why they've spoken about the amplification of the astral and the creation of the hive mind for the human race.
We have some interesting conversations.
We certainly do.
I hope you found it interesting as well.
So do I.
Thank you.
Thank you.